There is a price to pay for everything you gain.
Hey yo, this is T.O.T coming at you today with another Real Talk episode. Today's episode is going to be focusing on the Troll King. I feel like this is probably one of the most controversial things within the entirety of the series. As far as whether or not this character even has a Bankai or not, many people are convinced that he does have a Bankai, but the series has proven time and time again and given reasons to why this character doesn't have a Bankai. I'm going to be laying those reasons out in this video. Also, I will be giving my thoughts on the end as far as his role within the final arc and how things might possibly play out. Before I get started with things, there is some Bleach Soul Resurrection gameplay in the background for the PlayStation 3. The best way I can really describe this is Dynasty Warriors with a coat of bleach on top. Back during the Soul Society arc, Ichigo was training. When Ichigo was training for his Bankai, Yoruichi made a mention that every single captain, besides Kenny, has obtained Bankai. Okay. This gets retconned later on in the series though by the Troll King himself, because the Troll King reveals that his Zanpakuto has the ability to control all 5 senses. Now Unohana and her lieutenant are there at the time. The lieutenant is basically giving a spill talking about how she thought that his Zanpakuto was a water type. Okay, so pretty much at this point, and Unohana was basically like, oh, okay, so what you basically did was what you ended up doing is you performed the hypnosis ritual, and he had pretty much confirmed that. So we go up to Sogyoku Hill, and the Troll King is talking about, and while he's obtaining the Hogyoku from Rukia, it's around that time, he specifically is giving the speech about limitation. He is saying no matter how hard you train, you will eventually hit a limit. Now, you only have 1 or 2 ways to surpass this, just depending on whatever angle you're going from. Either a Soul Reaper has to become more like a Hollow, which would be like your Vizards, for example, or a Hollow has to become like a Soul Reaper, which will be like your Cars and your Espada. Now, I want you to keep in mind that when he's giving this this information, right, I have a strong feeling that he was already at his limit, because with Hado 90, he said that was only about 1/3 of its potency. Okay, he gave a rough guesstimate. And plus, on top of that, we have to take into consideration that why would a character talk about limitations and breaking past those limitations if the character wasn't already at that point? It's like what other reason would a character talk about a limitation if they hadn't reached it? So just keep that in mind as I continue on. So later on in the series, we get the Turn Back the Pendulum arc. Major flashback, okay? We see the Troll King experimenting with holification, and because of this, he ended up being able to blackmail several Soul Reapers and having them exiled out of the Soul Society. Kisuke Urahara was one of these captains. Okay, so basically what ended up taking place afterward was the Troll King, Kaname, and Gin were able to fill the seats of the exiled captains. Okay, so when we look at how the Troll King became a captain just in general, he blackmailed the previous captain, all right, and then on top of that, he faked his Bankai, all right. But this might not be very convincing for a lot of you, which is fine. I'm gonna go ahead and keep on going. Fake Kurokura Town arc comes around, and the Troll King, Kaname, and Gin, they instantly get engulfed in flames from Yamamoto's Shikai. Okay, so eventually they all get out from the flames. Troll King eventually steps into battle. There's like 8 opponents ready to fight him. And mind you, quite a few of them had already had some battle damage because they have been dealing with the Fraction and or Espada. So what takes place at this particular time is that he's cutting them down just like butter, just one by one by one. And Gin is off in the distance, and he's just watching, and he starts giving this internal monologue. And what he's saying is, yes, the abilities of Kyoko Soigetsu are truly frightening, but that's not what kept the Espada in line. The Espada had radically different personalities, and it's Aizen's strength, his intelligence, his speed that kept the Espada in line, all right? And he gave kind of like an end of the world example, and he was saying you could prepare for the sky to fall, for example, and the Troll King would still find some way to work around that, all right? So after they all get cut down, Yamamoto, confronts him because he realizes that this is the real deal. This isn't just an illusion. And so they get into it. Troll King reveals his trump card, Wonder-Wise, and then they start getting into it. Wonder-Wise takes in all the flames from Ryuku Jaka. Yamamoto's basically fighting Wonder-Wise, wrecking him with just bare hands. All right. So eventually Wonder Wise ends up kamikazing, which Yamamoto covers the blast as best as he can with his body, which would have been destructive enough to destroy fake Kurokuro Town, and I believe the real one as well. Okay, and the Troll King was basically, applauded him for tanking that, and he had said that if they had fought him head on, he would have been at a disadvantage. Alright, so he goes down to him and he's about to land in the finishing blow, and the finishing blow doesn't even work. Alright, it doesn't even work. He failed. Now the thing is the whole thing with this, after this had happened, Ichigo tried to use a sneak attack, failed. Okay, he failed. And another thing was Ishin eventually shows up. He starts getting into it with the Troll King, and we can tell that the Troll King is actually, and Ishin makes a mention that the Troll King is kind of looking like he's slowing down and stuff. So the Troll King, he stops and he's like, perhaps I have reached my limit as a Soul Reaper, that is. And this is freaking huge in the series. This is basically a self-confirmation that he had hit his limit, as a Soul Reaper. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking is like, no, that didn't really mean anything. All right, let's go ahead and go back to how everything played out in this fight, all right? He came into the fake Kurokuro Town arc, okay? Had a bunch of Fraction and Espada with him. That forced the Soul Reaper's hands. So they had to bring a bunch of members, okay? A lot of members that were affected by Kyoko Soigetsu, okay? Underneath the control of that Zanpakuto. Alright, so whenever they gained up on him, it made his Zanpakuto even more destructive. He made the switch with Momo and it was just so smooth. I'm just like, and still to this day, I don't even know when he had done the switch. I'm just like, whoa, what the hell? So he did that. When Gin was given his monologue spill on the Troll King, he never once mentioned anything about a Bankai, okay? He never once mentioned anything about a Bankai. And mind you, Gin had spent more time around the Troll King than anybody else in the series. Gin was supposed to have been the one to kill Aizen at some point in time, okay? And the thing is, if he had a Bankai, he would have formed... I'm sorry, but Gin is just way too smart of a character for that. If he had a Bankai, he would have used it against Yamamoto. Despite having Wonder Wise there, just to make sure he sealed the deal, he would have used Bankai against Yamamoto, because Yamamoto was the strongest Soul Reaper at this particular point in the series, alright? And if he had it, he would have used it, okay? Because he did a lot of planning and calculating up to this point in the series, and it had worked out fairly smoothly for the most part, okay? And the thing is he even made it out, got things worked out to where there were 3 captains left in Wako Mundo. There was Mayuri, Kenny, and Byakuya. They were all left there, okay? They were all left in Wako Mundo. So this is pretty huge. That made less factors for him to have to deal with. So it's not like he hadn't planned, okay? He made plans according to what he had accessible to him, okay? You can't use what you don't have. But we'll go ahead and keep on going. So after the Hogyoku starts to kick in, he doesn't rely on the Shikai at all for the remainder of the battle, okay? Now, before he evolves too far, Kisuke is successful getting his new invented Keto in on him. Alright, he is very successful at that. After that, what ends up taking place is Ichigo eventually uses Magetsu. Magetsu fails, but it's enough to push the Troll King to the point to where the new Keto from Kisuke kicked into effect, okay? Because if it wasn't for that Keto, Ichigo would have been done. He would have gotten destroyed by Aizen afterward. Alright, now right before that time when the new Keto had kicked in, the Troll King Zanpakuto completely crumbled. Okay, the Soul King became one with his Zanpakuto. Alright, now this is pretty huge right here because in general, this is a general weakness of Soul Reapers. Alright, because we've seen on too many occasions to where a Soul Reaper has had their Zanpakuto exposed and it has been broken, it has been sealed, or it has been stolen. Just straight up stolen. Okay, so we've seen all of these variants, and this fusion has eliminated that weakness. Now Ichigo was able to obtain this status for a little bit when he went into his Magetsu form, but he didn't maintain it for very long. Okay, so in the canon series, the Troll King is the only character that has hit that mark, okay? The only character in the canon series. And this happens only one other time in an OVA called it's like the Sealed Blood Sword Frenzy or something like that. It's like a 20 or 30 minute OVA. But besides that, there's only one other example, and that just so happens to be canon. So at the end of the day, I think the reason why he didn't obtain Bankai is because he had probably looked at his Zanpakuto like a tool and didn't have a good relationship with his Zanpakuto. Alright, you have to have a good relationship with your Zanpakuto to even be eligible to obtain Bankai. Doesn't matter if you meet the physical requirements if you got a crappy relationship with your Zanpakuto. That's just how it is. Now, on top of that, the thing is like if I'm comparing a Bankai to the Hogyoku has done more for the Troll King than what a Bankai ever would have. Alright? Now, a Bankai would not have allowed him to master Hado 90. A Bankai would not have allowed him to become a transcendent being. A Bankai would not have allowed him to become borderline immortal. A Bankai would not have allowed his spirit energy to be on such a high, immense level that whenever there are weak characters that walk within his presence, they instantly disintegrate. Like poof, like magic gone. All right? So keep that in mind. So at the end of the day, it's like if you want this character to have a Bankai, when he's able to use a Shikai at whim, whenever he wants, all right? And this is something else that the Hogyoku has been able to do. It's like, you give this character a Bankai, he's going to be broken. You're basically asking for a broken character at this point because we don't know how much stronger he is at this point in the final arc. We know just sealed up, he's stronger than when he was waltzing around in the fake Kurokuro Town arc. I mean, really, guys? Anyways, you all let me know what you think of his Bankai down below. I think I've presented quite a bit of evidence saying that he doesn't have one, so you all let me know. As far as Aizen versus Yhwach, it's been revealed not too long ago that Yhwach has the ability to see all possible futures. And not only that, but he also has the ability to see, I already said he can see every possible future. He has the ability to change things according to his whim, so that way he ends up being the victor. Now, the only drawback that we knew for sure beforehand was that he would switch off this almighty power with Hashwold every 12 hours. So basically what would happen is at night, Hashwold takes over the power, has the power. But Hashwold he's not as trained with it as Yhwach. It seems like Yhwach's got it pretty mastered. Now, the thing is like nobody's gonna be able to really screw with him when he's in this state, all right? Especially considering how he's absorbed part of the Soul King, if not the entirety of it. So the only character I could see defeating Yhwach 1v1 in this status would be Aizen himself. Back during one of the invasions, the Yhwach Bach went to meet up with the Troll King in the underground prison. You know, gave him a position offering, and you know, the Troll King turned him down, pretty much turned him down. What ended up happening afterward is he went back to the battlefield. Hashwold was basically saying, okay, we've run out of time. And Yhwach's kind of confused. He's like, what? I still thought we had time. And then he realizes that his sense of time had been manipulated. Okay, his sense of time had been manipulated. So with this being taken into consideration, he is now screwed, all right? So if Aizen feels like it, he could probably use his Kyoko so he gets to ability to make Yhwach see any possible future as a false one. Therefore, you know, you're changing a false future. You know, this is really no different from when Kisuke got his new Keto in on Aizen before he evolved too far. It's like once something is done, evolve all you want, get all the power-ups you want, but you're already done. You're screwed. And so Yhwach's almighty power is probably going to be getting countered by Aizen at some point to where it won't be usable. And I could see Aizen being the type of character that could definitely beat Yhwach 1v1. I mean, he's borderline immortal. His spirit energy is on a whole nother level, maybe even beyond God tier. I don't know how immense it is, but we haven't seen this guy at full power yet. And I think we'll see his final Hogyoku evolution form sometime within this arc. I definitely see it happening because he was going to evolve more at the fake Kurokuro Town arc, but Kisuke's Keto prevented that from happening. So you all let me know what you think down below on whether Aizen could take on Yhwach Bach and actually defeat him or not. Anyways, if you listened to all of this or watched all of this, I just want to say thank you. You be safe out there. Deuces!
And let the rage of Sparta fuel your blade. God bless the hustler, curse the first sleeper. Enemy get beside me, flows go deepest beside me. When we ride, clocks keep all my enemies blinded. Time will soon show, a folk can last for years. Outshining your fake smiles, plastic tears like last year. Niggas stuck in the past, and it's clear. Just some buster ass bastards allergic to cash this year. Machiavelli for the